and we will get started. So the scenario is I've been in contact with Eric via email. We've talked on the phone, and so Eric has scheduled me to come in to an initial consultation to his model home, and so I'm coming in for the first time, meeting him face-to-face. He's got a pretty good background on me, or I should say I have a pretty good background on him, Eric's the buyer, because I've done that initial qualification over the phone. So the way this works is everything on the left here that you see, this initial consultation for new homes, I've designed this so you can print this out, put it on the clipboard, and this will help guide you through this first 20 minutes, and also has sections on here where you can take notes. So for those of you that have used a clipboard before or take notes when you're meeting with clients, this will be a no-brainer. If you are meeting with people right now and not taking notes, I would highly recommend that you begin taking notes in front of them. And the question is, or why is that important, Rick? Well, any professional that your prospect works with in their lives, such as their attorney, their doctor, their accountant, whatever it is, where they go in to have a meeting with them, that person is taking notes as they talk. When you take notes in front of somebody, it tells them they're important what they're saying, and it helps build that rapport and that trust factor between you. So if you're not doing it right now, I highly recommend you start doing it. And again, when they sit down with their attorney or their accountant is taking notes, and so therefore this is pretty normal for them that another professional is taking notes. So Eric, you ready to go, my buyer?
I am.
All right, fantastic. So you're coming into the model home today. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with the greeting here, and we'll keep moving forward. So, hey, Eric, thanks so much for getting together today. About how much time do you have to talk at the model?
I've got about an hour.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Well, come on in. Let's take sit down right here at this table. I've got some material set up here for you to go over. I know some of the information that you wanted for me to have ready, and I've got either a water or a soda in the fridge. What would you care to drink?
Water would be great.
Fantastic. Here you go. Well, again, Eric, thanks so much for your time today. If I can start out, I'd like to learn a little bit more about your situation. And what we normally find that there's 3 to 5 things that our clients would like to change about their current home and neighborhood. Can you tell me what you'd like to improve upon?
Well, our current home, we have 3 daughters, and so there's 5 of us in the family. And our current home, we only have 3 bedrooms upstairs, and we really would like a 4th bedroom up so that each child can have their own bedroom, and kind of avoids conflict and fighting, I think. So
absolutely,
we're really excited and interested in this development, and we really are looking for to build a new home and add that 4th bedroom, and probably add a few other features that we don't have in our current home.
What would some of those other features be?
Well, the main thing for me is a bigger garage. I'd like a little bit bigger garage so I have room to put potentially a boat someday, and also have room to store of course all the kids' bikes and snowblower, lawnmower, etc. And the garage we have now is 22 feet deep, and it's just not big enough.
Sure. Okay.
We need something a little bigger.
Okay. So you have a problem right now with getting your car in the garage along with all the stuff that's sort of overflowing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so the garage you'd like to improve upon. Also, you want to get that 4th bedroom, avoid some of the conflict with your girls. What else about your current home would you like to improve upon?
Probably I work from home occasionally, and I probably like to have a nice main floor office with, some built-in cabinetry, so I have some room to store some things.
Okay. And your neighborhood that you're living in, are you happy with that, or there's some improvements in the neighborhood that you'd like to see?
Neighborhood's okay.
It is. Okay. And school district, obviously we're talking about the Wayzata School District here. Is that the same school district that you're in?
Yeah, that works fine. Absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. So if I can just summarize here, what I understand is that we'd like to get a 4th bedroom up because you got 5 in the family with 3 daughters. The garage right now is too small for you. You can't get all your cars and stuff in the garage, and it sounds like you'd like to have a boat someday, so that larger garage would be really important. And then you also work from home occasionally.
Yeah.
So that main floor office would be important. Do you ever meet people at your home, or is it pretty much just for office work?
Pretty much just for office work.
Okay, so for office work, where you could have some storage for files and that sort of thing too. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, great, great. Well, let's take a look at some ideas for your new home. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so Eric, there's a couple different ways you can approach building your home, and what I'd like to do is just give you some information on them, and then you can decide which way makes the most sense. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to see here as I have everything highlighted here, so I'm moving to the visual of our time together. So the most important thing I'd like to determine here today, Eric, is that are we a good fit for you, and would you be a good fit for us? So I'd like you to please consider this an interview. And just a couple of the topics that we might discuss today, depending on what's most interesting to you, is number one is how are homes designed, how are they priced, how are they built, and then new versus used homes, sort of what are the differences, that sort of thing. And if you think that we're a good fit and we're going to work and that you like to work with us, what I'll do is I'll talk about the next steps, which would be looking at a home site to potentially build your home on, and also beginning the design and pricing and selection process. So the main part that the main question I want to get through today is, would you consider hiring NIH homes? And at the end of our time here together, if your answer is yes, I'll talk about those next steps. And if the answer is no, there's no harm done. I'll even try to refer you to maybe to a better fit. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So before we get started, could I ask you a couple questions to help point you in the right direction?
Of course.
Okay, so your current home, we found out what you don't like about it, but how long have you lived there?
About 6 years.
About 6 years, okay. And what has changed in your life since you first moved in?
We had twins.
Ooh, okay, big change.
So hence the 3 girls, right?
Yeah, and how old are the twins?
Well, they are they're just turned 8. So I guess we've been in our home about 8 years.
About 8 years, okay. So you got them right when you moved in.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, big changes in your life besides having the twin girls?
Not as it relates to housing, no.
Okay. And when did you first start to consider moving out of your current home?
We've been thinking about it for probably, I would say a year, but it's just more been in the last couple months that we've actually started to visualize a little bit more and to actually get out and start looking at homes, which is kind of why we came through the parade of homes and started, we thought this was a good time to start looking. Rates are really good right now, and so we thought it might be a good time to do something.
Okay, so it sounds like about a year you've been doing some research, but really haven't been actively looking until the last month or two.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Now, have you ever built a home before, Eric?
Yes.
You have. Okay. Just curious, why aren't you using that previous builder, for this home?
They are no longer in business.
Oh, okay, out of business. Well, when you did select them as a builder, what criteria did you use to choose them?
It was a combination at the time, the development that we were looking in. There were 4 different builders, and part of it was home site selection, and the other part of it was the builder that, being comfortable with the builder that we chose.
Okay. And when you say comfortable, any specific things that comes to mind that made you comfortable?
What we saw from a quality of construction standpoint, quality of finishing standpoint, and I wasn't as concerned about the floor plan, because we were going to do a custom design. So it was pretty much, more focused for us on the quality and what we saw in the finishings.
Okay, so fit and finish was big important for you. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how would you rate your building experience with that builder?
I would probably rate it a 9.
A 9? Okay, so it was relatively good then.
Yes, very good.
And how about your ownership experience? The warranty, the craftsmanship, how the home held up, the design when you got done with it and they were living in it. How would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably a 9 also. Very good.
Okay. So if I understand it, you would like to probably try to replicate that process and that ownership experience. If you got a 9 out of 10, I'm assuming that you would hope to score that again with your next builder. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So from a comfort level, from a fit and finish, you've already built a home once before. So tell me about some of the things that you are looking for with us or any other builder that you would choose moving forward.
Just kind of, from a fit and finish standpoint, the quality of the finishes in the home. How does the paint look? How does the woodwork and or enameling look? Does the home, not as big a deal from a design standpoint, but is the home designed well? Does it flow well? Are there any architectural, issues or design issues that I've noticed in the home? More along those lines, I would say.
Okay. So the fit and finish architecturally is important to you. You want to make sure you get it done right. You've obviously done a custom design before, so you're familiar with the process. But it sounds like you really just want to be able to have your options in front of you, so you're able to make a good choice right now and be happy with your home for years to come.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, now I'm going to pause right here because this is very, very important. As you notice, I'm on the builder story slide right here. But I'm not going to go in and start randomly rattling off my builder story. The first thing I want to do is I want to ask him, has he built the home before? And so he says he has. So what I'm doing is I'm jumping to this section. So first thing is, why isn't that previous builder building for you? Okay, he's out of business. Because you might have people saying, well, I'm talking to them too. And so then you know right away you might be behind the 8 ball because they're just talking to you in order to confirm the price with their previous builder. So that wasn't an issue here. The criteria he used to choose them. Remember, he was very comfortable with the fit and finish, more or less the location. He chose them because of that. He had 4 builders to pick from. He's done this already. He's gone through the interview process. So I'm not overly concerned about getting him understanding the bidding versus design build. But if you listen to between the lines to what he's saying, his focus is really on design. I mean, the fit and finish, he wants to know about the enameling, he wants to know about his options with features, products, so on and so forth. So as I move forward here, and I'm going to go back up here and I look at, okay, here's the things I can discuss. I'm going to spend the majority of my time talking about design right now. I'm going to talk about our design process. I'm not going to get a whole lot into the construction process because guess what? He rated his construction process, his building experience a 9 out of 10 and his ownership experience a 9 out of 10. So this is not, he's not afraid of this, so I'm not going to go to it. I've already asked him, because I qualified him before meeting with him, if he was also considering used homes. And Eric, your answer was, if you're looking at new versus used or just new, was?
I'd really like a new home.
Really like a new home, right, because you built your last home. So right. I've lived in a new home. I really don't want to buy somebody else's idea of a dream home. So I'm not going to go into new versus used. I'm only going to get into pricing if I need to. But he's already gone through the construction process. He already understands fit and finish, quality in his mind. And so this is his second time around. He's willing to pay for what he wants to get. So I'm not going to get really bogged down on that. What I'm going to spend my time on is design. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to everyone. And who was it asked the question here? Let me see this. So when I started here, yeah, the question was, the second line is about how much time do you have to talk? Often I meet people 30-minute increments because I'm using a client's, let's see if I get this right, using a client's model home. Who asked that question? Let me try to get this bigger. Oh, that's a star. Oh, okay. Yes, thanks, Star. So you mean a client's home. So we have 30 minutes, is not enough time to happen to meet with you again. I would not do this process in the client's home. What I would most likely do is, if I'm going to show them the client's home, is I would meet with them first at your showroom, your office, or perhaps a coffee shop, and I would do this interview first because I don't want to take them into the client's home if it's not a good fit. So hopefully that answers your question. Don't do this after you show them the home. Do this before. Get them all revved up to want to see the home because the home is the carrot. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So that's the information I have. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into my builder story. And what do you think I'm going to focus on in my builder story, Eric?
You're going to focus on the design aspect.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just going to talk a lot about design here.
Right.
Talk a lot about design. So we move to builder story be right here. Okay, so you're going to have your personalized slide for your builder story, and I'm going to have to ad-lib here or sort of make it up as I go. Well, Eric, from what I gathered from you is because this is your second home around, is that design is really important to you as far as getting the fit and finish that you want, having the options available to you so you can get that look and feel and quality you're after. Does that sound right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, one thing you should know about NIH Homes is that we have been around for 30 years, and over that 30 years, we have really been able to refine our design process to the point where we actually employ an on-staff personal interior design consultant, which you and your wife will have access to help you make those well-informed choices that you want to make. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how that process works here in a second. Eric, we also understand, I know you're busy. You've got a home office, and you don't need to be chasing us, so we have worked very diligently to putting together a transparent working relationships and making sure that your home building experience is as clean and smooth as possible, to fit into your busy lifestyle. We are very good at proactive communication, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And the bottom line is it's got to be a good fit, because we know that we're going to have a relationship for the next 10 years with the warranties we provide you. Is there any other questions that you have about NIH Homes before I talk a little bit more about design?
No, I don't think so. That sounds good.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down to design right here, which is the next one. So Eric, are you familiar with the difference between an architectural designer and an interior designer?
Yes, I think so, but I'd be happy if you'd explain it to me.
Okay. Well, so yeah, it's important because you're going to be utilizing both in your process. So an architectural designer simply designs a home on home plan around your lifestyle ideas, and what they do is they take our construction knowledge. So what we do is we take your budget into consideration, we take the cost of the home and the home site into consideration, and also the way that you want to live in the home, plus the products and features that you talk about. All that goes hand in hand, so we can deliver you the best home for your money. Now, the other thing you need to understand is that this is a very collaborative effort. So you'll have our input as a builder, we get your input obviously as the buyer, and we have our architectural designer's input to make sure that we're designing the best home for your needs. Move here. Oops. Now, when you hear the word interior designer, what definition comes to your mind?
I probably generally think of, colors, patterns, textures, furniture, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much right on. There's really three things that we focus on with our interior design process. Number one is we want to save you money and time. Again, we know you're busy, so we want to reduce the amount of running around you have to do. We want to reduce any change orders that you would be made during the construction process, because oftentimes they can get expensive, and if a mistake happens, it's usually because of a change order. So we want to get all those things identified up front. Number two is that she wants to help you make the right product choices. So she'll work to understand what are your tastes, look at what your budget is, and then what are your performance expectations for the products and the design that you choose. So all those things come into play when Genevieve, who's our personal interior design consultant, would make a recommendation to you. And then thirdly is we want to make the process easy and fun. Just because you're building a custom home doesn't mean it has to be hard, and I see based on your last experience it looks like the process was relatively easy and fun. Looks like you'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fantastic. So we already discussed is that you really want to build a new home and not a used home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have any other questions on our design process?
So basically then I would, or my wife and I would end up meeting with Genevieve, and then we would go through, she would handle the selections and kind of the interior design portion, and then there's a different designer that would handle more of the architectural piece of it in terms of drawing the floor plans.
You're 100% correct. Right. We'll work with you. We have to get a floor plan obviously designed first or personalized for you first. And then once that floor plan is done, Genevieve will work with you to put all the fit and finish into that floor plan, as it relates to exactly how you want the home to live and perform.
Great.
Awesome. So now at this point, I'm not going to get into pricing. I don't really need to. I'm going to move right down to probably financing here, because this is something that we need to discuss right here. So, Eric, as we discussed, right now you have a home to sell. Will you be selling that home before you begin building your new home?
I think we'd like to do it simultaneously. And what I mean by that is we can qualify for both homes from a financing standpoint.
Okay.
So I think what I'd like to do is get my current home on the market and then start the process of the new build. And what we had to do last time, which I'm okay with, is we had to do a double move. So we actually put our home on the market. We had an offer on it, and it actually happened a lot quicker than we had anticipated. So we ended up selling and closing on our home. We moved into temporary housing for a few months while our last home was being built, and then we moved into it when it was ready.
Okay, and I'm glad you are aware of that. Now, if that scenario happens again, do you have any temporary housing lined up, or is that something you would need me to help you find?
We have some ideas, but certainly, of course, if you've got some resources that would help us with that, or some ideas of where we could go, that would be great. Talking to some of my friends, it seems like that's a little bit tougher to find these days sometimes, but it sounds like there's some opportunities out there.
Yeah, we do have a few resources, and I'll make a note to send you those resources here so you have them available if and when you need them, okay?
That'd be great.
Okay. Now, when you built your last home, when it came to financing, do you remember if the home builder financed the home for you? In other words, you maybe put down some earnest money or a deposit, and then when the home was completed, you took out your end loan and then paid for the home. Versus, yeah. Okay, that's the way you did it. Okay,
yeah.
Great. And we can work that way as well. And I know we've talked budgets. We can finance the home for you, especially since you're building on one of our home sites. The amount that you would need to put down as a deposit up front would be approximately 10% of the total package price.
Okay.
Would that money be readily available for you?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. So we've got that done. And then the construction timeline. I know you built a home before. I won't go into this unless you want me to. Do you have any questions as far as when construction begins, when's it end, and how long it takes, and so on and so forth?
Well, it kind of sounds like what you had mentioned before is that you guys are probably at about a 5-month build time.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. that works. I mean, obviously, it's March 14th. Ideally, my wife and I, would like to be in, by the time school starts. That might be a little bit tight given the timeline, but we want to get our kids enrolled and make sure we're set to go for the school year.
Okay. All right. Yep. I think we can make that happen. I will make a note of that you would like to be in before school, and then we'll talk about specific timeline here at the end of our time together.
Great.
Okay. Now, I'm moving right to the end. And Star, I got your note too. We'll come back and we'll talk about price here in a second. So Eric, based on the information we've discussed today, the type of home that you're looking for, the fit and finishes that you're asking for in the design process, I feel really comfortable that NIH Homes would be a good fit for you. Is there any other questions that you have about NIH before we talk about the next step?
I think you've answered most of them. I think, in terms of you guys being in business for 30 years, that's great. Sounds like you guys are very hands-on. I guess, being, that I am looking at a couple other possibilities, is there something that you can tell me that would, make me feel more comfortable with NIH versus some of the other opportunities or other builders that I have out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but what's your marketing message? What's NIH's marketing message?
Kind of like...
I know you're new and I'm putting you on the spot, but that's what I'm going to go back to.
We kind of design homes around your lifestyle, and I think that's kind of the message that we're trying to get across to people, is that, we're a smaller builder. We don't build as many homes as some of the bigger, builders. More hands-on attention with the owners of the company, etc.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I know your unique selling proposition is called your innovative design process.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, well, Eric, we are the only builder in the Wayzata School District area, Plymouth and Maple Grove, that has what's called the innovative design process. And what we do is we work with you to first identify your lifestyle and then be able to design a home architecturally around that lifestyle. And then Genevieve, our personal interior design consultant, takes those same ideas and will equate them to product selection, fit, and finish. So based on what you've told me so far, I think we have the exact process, that you are looking for in order to get to that end product or that end home. Would you? I mean, based on what we discussed here today, would NIH be a builder that you consider hiring?
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, let's take a look at what's going to happen next. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is actually look at your needs, wants, and wish list, and walk through the model home and just confirm some of the things and design features and product selections you'd like to have in the home. And then we'll set up a time to take a look at some home sites here before the end of our hour. Okay?
Great.
Boom. That's it. I'm done.
Good job.
So, thank you. Now, that is something, again, I know, as you notice, I hit one of the 4 areas really that I could have hit. Now, Star has asked, hey, could we do one of these when price is the issue at some point? I think let's do it right now because we have a couple of minutes here. But let's go back and let's just say that price was an issue for you. So I'm going to go back up here, and here is our overview. As you can see, I've got pricing as an item right here, and I've also got new versus used homes. So what I think I'll do is I'll touch on both of these right now. So let's just say we're discussing, and Eric starts telling me, hey, you know what, we're talking to 3 or 4 other builders, and price is really important to us, and we want the most home for our money, and la-di-da-da, giving the classic indications that, you know what, I'm going to be beating you down on price.
Right. We like you, but we're going to shop you.
Yep, exactly. And which happens, fairly common. So what we're going to do is go to the pricing section here. And I'm going to start out right here on the left. So I'm going to say, Eric, one of the most confusing areas for people who build or buy a new home is determining a fair price. And I know it's something that you're really working at right now as well. Are you familiar with the 3 components that make up the price of your new home?
Oh, no. Why don't you explain them to me?
Well, as you can see on the screen, it's land, lumber, and labor. And what I want you to do is just keep that formula in mind, because we are going to come back to it, and I'll show you how it affects your decision to purchase and also how the home's going to perform once you own it. Okay? Okay. Okay. So that's my setup, Star. So if I just want to get people, say, here's this formula, just stick it in the back of your head. Now I'm going to go into new versus used, and this is important to do too with price, even if that they're thinking that they're not going to consider building a new home. But what I find more often than not is that if somebody's really hung up on price, they're already looking at used homes. Because why would they look at used homes? Because the price is lower than a new home. So Eric, I know we discussed it, and you said that you are looking at used homes as well. Are you familiar with the differences between, I should say, as a quick question for you, do you know which costs more, a brand new or a used home?
I don't know. I guess I would think off the top of my head that a new home might cost a little bit more.
Okay, so what I will do, let's see if I can get this link to work here. Just a second. Okay, so this is a sheet that I've put together. Some of you have this, but it's a new versus used comparison. This is a sheet now I would put in front of Eric. And I wouldn't have it on my, it's not on my tablet, but it's something that I have, piece of paper that I put in front of him. And so we'll just take a look at the differences between a brand new home or say a used home, or, you know, some people also will consider short sales or foreclosures. Now I say the word cost. Cost, you need to understand is what is the ongoing cost of that home. So in a brand new home, you obviously design it the way you want it, so there's no remodeling. Everything is brand new and it comes with warranties, so you don't have any hidden problems. And it's also built very energy efficient, and so your utility bills are going to be lower. Now, with a used home, you're going to get a lower price. And so, but the problem with the lower price is you're only going to get that once. So once you pay the initial price, that benefit is gone. But now you have no warranties in the home. You're going to have high ongoing costs because your utility bills are going to be higher. There is going to be deferred maintenance. There is going to be remodeling costs just because things wear out. And the design is going to be antiquated. It was designed for somebody else at a different point in time, not really for today's lifestyle. Now, with a brand new home, it's move-in ready. So your kitchen's modern and open. Your appliances are brand new. It's designed for how you live today. It's never been lived in. You got to consider the biggest hidden cost when it comes to used home, and that is remodeling. And what you should probably budget each year, Eric, is about 2 to 3% of the home's value. So let's just say your new home is $500, probably around $10,000 to $15,000 per year. You should be budget for remodeling costs, deferred maintenance. Roofs wear out, siding wears out, windows wear out. Obviously, if you're going to have to remodel, you're going to be dealing with a torn-up home, and that's going to happen it can happen for months on end. Plus, unfortunately, it was designed for a different lifestyle. You know, we live differently today than even we did 5-6 years ago. And oh yes, there will probably be some toenails in the carpet. I know it's not a thought that you really want to entertain, but how true it is. Now, from a safety standpoint and comfort standpoint, you're going to spend the majority of your life in your home, right? Majority of your life. So you've got a very highly efficient heating, cooling, and appliances in your home. You have carbon monoxide detectors. Each of them has a safety check. You can do radiant and zone heating, and we are an Energy Star certified home builder, so it means your home is going to be more comfortable because it's less drafty. It's properly balanced as far as the heating, ventilating, air conditioning, and cooling. Now, versus a used home, you're obviously going to have low efficient appliances. The cooling and the heating are going to be inconsistent. You know, potentially you could have some carbon monoxide issues. Again, the older the appliances go, that's what happens as things wear out and you can have those problems. And then typically the homes are not zoned for heating and cooling, so you can have cold basements and a hot upper level and vice versa in the summer and winter. Now the other thing that a lot of people don't consider is also the neighborhood. You know, so if you look at how neighborhoods are designed today than when they were yesterday, is right now a lot of our neighborhoods have green space. We've got walkable trails. We've got common amenities like the swimming pool you guys love so much. We've got neighbors who are ready to meet you because they're all in a new, in the same situation. They're all in a new neighborhood. Versus with the older subdivisions of yesterday, we've got homes backing up to one another. There's not much green space. There's not much privacy. A lot of them do not have sidewalks. They don't have trail systems. And you're moving into neighborhood cliques, people that have been there for years and they're tight, and you're the new guy on the block. And of course with taxes, as you know, right now with a new home, you pay taxes on the land only. And that's for the next 12 to almost 24 months. And with an old home, sometimes the taxes can be too high because it's based on a past value. And so you're dealing with paying taxes above what the value of the home is. So one thing I'm hoping you'll take away from this is low price you only get once. And so you need to be careful you don't focus too much on that initial price because it can come with a lot of things, unintended consequences for months and years down the road when you live in the home. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the first part of it, what I'm gonna go through. Now, oops, let me go back here and here. So that's the setup, and somebody raised their hand here. Let me see, who was that? Mike has a question. Let me open up your question, Mike. Mike says, what's wrong with remodeling? Sorry, Mike, we had to throw you under the bus. Our remodeler here. Right now, remodeling is evil when we're in this conversation. All right, so now I'm going to go into, next is going to be, I'm going to move into low price versus low cost as it relates to home building. So Eric, there's a couple of different ways to go about building your home, and what I'd like to do is just review each of them with you. The first is what we call the bidding or the low price purchase. So in this scenario, you're going to do like you're doing right now. So you'll go ahead and visit 3 or 4 builders. You're going to find maybe a similar size plans, you make an options list, and then you have each builder give you a bid. And this is what you need to know about that just from an insider's perspective. Number one is that you are going to have to take responsibility for the accuracy of your plans. You also need to know what the installation methods are and the specifications. Now the danger with this is if you don't have intimate insider knowledge of the industry, it's pretty much impossible to do. You know, the only possible scenario that you could look at is you go out and retain an architect. You probably pay somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000 in those fees, and have the architect develop a plan, a detailed scope of work, and the specification documents. And without doing that, you'll never be able to achieve that. And you could still go through all that expense with the architect and work, only to find out that what was designed for you was over your budget. That happens a lot with architects. Now, here's what else you need to know. Any builder, including us, we can buy your bid. And I'm not sure if you've heard that term before, but what it means is that whoever is the most desperate will come in the lowest. And when they get the bid, they will cut corners where you won't notice up front. Or they might bring in their B or C level subcontractors to meet that bid. So you think you're getting a great price, but what's going to happen is that you're going to have a very high cost of ownership because it's going to be inferior products and workmanship. So the bids are only as good or bad as the contractor's understanding of the plan and specs. And if you have ambiguous plan and specifications, you're going to have people making assumptions of what's good enough for you. So this is where you're going to find those bait and switch tactics. So the best case scenario is you're going to be incredibly disappointed with what you actually get, and the worst case scenario is that horror story you heard of where the contractor runs out of money and you end up with a half-finished home and he comes back to you and says, hey, I need to have another $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in order to finish this. So unfortunately, when it comes to bidding, the contractor controls the quality of the products and the craftsmanship. And when they do that, by finding the cheapest products, subcontractors, and installation method. So if you elect to go and build your home using a low-price bidding process, which people do all the time, I'm just giving you the insider's perspective, it's sort of like buying a used car based on the paint shop. You know, and so what always have the question we ask ourselves is, am I really aware of what I'm buying or getting? Because just like that used car, it looks shiny and barely used today, but then you get those huge repair bills in the future because you didn't realize about what was going on in the guts of the car. So that's what we call a high cost of ownership. Now, can you see how this process can lead to unintended consequences?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so here's the other option that you can do when you build your home. And this is called the low-cost option. It's design-build. So the design-build process is really the opposite of building. So what we do is together we work upon an agreed-upon design, we agree upon the specifications, and we agree upon the installation methods all up front. Now you're acutely aware of that design, those specs, installation methods. So in other words, you're in control. And then together we'll verify everything, specifications and prices. We, as a builder, will never make a choice to meet the bid. You are always aware of what you're getting. Our scope of work, which is really just a summary of exactly how your home's going to be built and what's going to be in it, that's fully disclosed to you. And you will understand how our installation methods will affect the long-term performance and maintenance of your home. Now, you're going to have control over the price because our focus is on giving you a low cost of ownership. So we'll work to get a design that performs better. We will work to make sure the workmanship is done properly the first time. And you will have direct involvement with the products you choose, you know, because you're working with our personal interior design consultant, Genevieve. So all these decisions now is important are made prior to construction. Everything's done up front. So what that means is you have minimal variations from the initial to final price. Typically our price varies less than 1%, and that's including change orders people make during construction. Once we agree upon contractually what we're going to be providing you, there is no other expenses outside of unforeseen circumstances and your changes. And those unforeseen circumstances would typically just deal with if there's a problem with the land. Remember, if you build on our land, everything is guaranteed. Now, can you see the differences in how the design-build process would benefit you?
Yeah, it makes more sense to me, absolutely.
Yeah, so, and this is the exact process we use. We want to be as transparent as possible if we work with you, and we also want to work collaboratively, not against you, trying to meet a bid. So we design and build the home that fits your lifestyle and budget. I mean, that's a process we use. Is that something that you would entertain?
Yes, I like it.
That's it, Star, and everyone else as far as going through price. Any other questions on price or anything else that I've done with this um, initial consultation? I see and hear none. Okay, so I recorded this section that Eric, thank you very much, by the way.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your help in this, and I will go ahead and mute you again, so if you belch, no one will laugh at you. Thanks, buddy. Okay, if there's no other questions, then we're about done with our time today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll send out the copy of this recording, a link that you can access it on Game Day Coaching. A couple of follow-up notes to this. Number one, remember, you're never going to give this the same way twice. So number two, 20 to 25 minutes. You should be able to buzz through this. Number three, practice this on yourself, on your spouse, on your peers before you try to do this in front of a prospect, because you've got to coordinate between what you're saying over here and what you're showing them on the slides. I would not try to do this with a laptop. It's too bulky. I would either do this with a tablet where I can then have the prospect flip through the slides, or I can jump into my photo galleries, or anything else that I need to, or I would just print out the pages and put them in a flip book. Otherwise, the laptop is too bulky. And again, remember, what is the goal? The goal is to get them to confirm they would consider using you as their builder of choice before you move into your educational walkthrough, before you get to needs, wants, and wish list, before you start showing them home sites or anything else. Remember the formula. I begin with problems, which I started with Eric. I agitate those problems. I introduce my solution, and then I have a call to action. I always have a clear, concise next step. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for your time. I see no other questions, and so we will have owners and managers again next Thursday. And going back to the agenda, on the 28th, which is the next time that we meet, we have some new functionality within Ubix, and Runa is going to be walking you through some of the updates with the scorecard, so you all have a really good idea and control over your activities that you're doing each and every week. Have a good afternoon and morning. Thanks. Bye-bye.